Hey everyone, you're probably wondering with Bitcoin at $103,000 per coin, is it a good time to invest in Bitcoin or should you wait? My answer is always the same. Now is a good time to invest in Bitcoin. And you're probably thinking, but wait, Joel, you always say that. You always say it's a good time to invest in Bitcoin. How can it always be a good time to invest in Bitcoin? The answer is because you can't time the market. And what I mean by timing the market is you can't tell what is high and what is low. It's impossible to tell what's high and what is low because you don't know the future. And so what seems high or seems low is only as related to the recent past or the past in general. And with any asset that has a huge amount of upside potential, what matters is the future and not the past. So you don't know what low or high is because you don't know what the future holds. So let's imagine you rewind back to the 1990s and you're trying to decide whether to invest in Amazon or Apple or, Amazon, or I should say, Microsoft or any of the companies that became part of the Magnificent Seven that actually existed back in the 90s. And let's say their stock price today is $500. And back then it was, 50 cents. So you could have made 1,000 times your money. Literally 1,000, 1,000 times your money. $1,000 turns into $1 million. Well, 50 cent stock price is, you're thinking, oh, but that's really expensive because it was 40 cents and now it's 50 cents and 50 cents is close to the highest it's ever been. So why would I buy Microsoft or Amazon or Apple at 50 cents a share? It's so expensive because it used to be 30 cents and then it used to be 40 cents and now it's 50 cents. Well, again, in retrospect, you should have bought it at any of those prices. You should have bought it at 30 cents, 40 cents, 50 cents. All of the prices in the 1990s were fantastic prices to buy Amazon, Apple, or Microsoft. There was no bad time to buy it. There was no concept of high or low that made sense because even the highest price in the 1990s looks ridiculously cheap today. And so if you only bought assets when they seemed like they were cheap, you'd basically never buy any high performing asset because high performing assets go up over time, which means they're constantly feeling like they're expensive. Bitcoin itself has felt expensive from day one. Literally every single person who has ever acquired Bitcoin at any price has thought it was expensive because initially it had no price and it was priced at a fraction of a penny. And then Bitcoin was worth a penny and that seems so expensive. And then it was worth 10 cents and that seems so expensive. And then it was worth $1 and it seems so expensive because it used to be worth just 10 cents or 1 cent. And then it was worth $10 and that seems so expensive. And then it was $100. And then 1,000 and 10,000, all of those prices seemed so expensive. And since I've been involved in Bitcoin since 2017, which is 8 years now, back then, the prices today, I remember everybody thinking back then the same thing they think now, except there was a zero missing. So the price of Bitcoin right now is 103,000. And back then it was 10,300. Exactly the same price. You just take a zero off. 103,000 turns into 10,300. And then it dipped to 7,400, which is the equivalent of 74,000. And then it went up to 8,500. And then it was 9,400. And then it was 10,300 again. All the time, everyone was worried about it's expensive. And, why would I buy it at 10,300? Because it used to be 8,400 just 3 weeks ago. And before that, it was 7,400. And then it was 9,600. And everybody spent all this time worrying that they were buying expensive Bitcoin. When the truth is, all of those prices are up 1,000%. Everyone who bought Bitcoin at any price between 7,400 and 10,300 is up somewhere between 10 and 15 times their money, which is a fantastic return over 8 years. That is a fantastic return. So, but again, tons of people were not buying Bitcoin at 10,300 because it was so expensive. And they were going to wait till they could buy it at 8,500. And then of course, eventually 8,500 never came and they never got to buy Bitcoin at 8,500 because it took off and it just went a whole lot higher. So anyway, it's never a bad time to buy Bitcoin. When you're sitting on an asset, or you can potentially be buying an asset that will be up 10x, somewhere between 10x and 50x, 100x, whatever in the future, every price is cheap. I can't time the market. The person who buys more Bitcoin than any other human on the planet is Michael Saylor, the CEO of MicroStrategy. MSTR is their ticker. And they just go by the word strategy now. He has bought more Bitcoin than any other human on the planet. And he buys it at every price. Every time he has capital availability, he buys Bitcoin. He doesn't make any effort whatsoever to try to time the market because he knows it's impossible to time the market. I know it's impossible to time the market. And anyone who's ever tried to trade stocks or trade commodities or play the stock market all knows you get burned. You cannot tell when it's high. You can't tell when it's low. When it feels like a great time to buy it is when it's going up. It feels like a bad time to buy everything when the price is on sale. Like, you will just never win by trying to wait to buy when things are cheap because they will always seem like they're expensive and you'll end up never buying. That's the vast majority of the time. The reason people never bought Amazon or Microsoft or Apple is the stocks seem too expensive. Well, they could have made, 100 times, 1,000 times now their money, literally 1,000 times their money from 1990s to the present. But they didn't because it was too expensive. It was too expensive to buy back then. So my recommendation to everybody is whatever Bitcoin you're going to buy, just buy it. Put it out of your mind. Stop thinking about it. Come back at some point years in the future. It'll be worth a lot more. If you try to time it by buying it at specific prices, I promise you'll lose. People always do. They always try. They always lose. Just don't do that. If you're going to buy Bitcoin, just buy it. Anyway, it's same advice I've been giving for years. Same advice I was giving when Bitcoin was below $17,000. So everybody who bought Bitcoin when I was saying this exact same thing below $17,000 is up 600%. They made 6 times their money. And that was from 2022, 2023 to the present. So just in the last 2 or 3 years, they're up 600% on the Bitcoin they said to buy. And back then, again, everybody was like, yeah, but FTX blew up. It could go lower. Bitcoin's $17,000. I'm going to wait and buy it until it's $15,000. Guess what? It never was $15,000. If you wanted $15,000 Bitcoin, you had to do that years earlier than that. It never got that low in 2022. And I didn't try to time the market. I was buying it all the way down. I've been buying it all the way up. The most recent Bitcoin I bought was when my paycheck hit. What day of the week is it? Okay, so it's the 17th. So I had a paycheck hit earlier this week. And it hit the bank account and I went in and I bought Bitcoin at 104,000 a coin or whatever it was earlier this week. 104,000 a coin. I'm not going to wait and time the market. I have no idea. For all I know, 150,000 is right around the corner. Like, why on earth would I wait and try to get it a little cheaper and then miss up on 1,000% upside because I was waiting for 10% cheaper? It just doesn't make any sense to do that. So it's a good time to buy Bitcoin. I would buy, again, anybody who's planning to buy Bitcoin, just buy it. Like, again, you can't time the market. Ask anybody who's ever attempted to time the market. You can't time the market with Bitcoin. You can't time the market with any asset. So buy whatever Bitcoin you can, sit on it as long as conceivably possible. And that's same advice as always. And it's the same advice at $103,000 as it is at $10,300, which is the same price recommendation at $103. Also, if you're wondering why I'm sitting in the dark, it's because my power is out for the 10th time in 2025, literally the 10th time, for more than 40 hours of 2025. My power has somehow been out in Mississippi. So I travel a lot, but sometimes I'm in Mississippi, and I'm in Mississippi right now, and the power is out for the literal 10th time in 2025 for a cumulative total of more than 40 hours. It feels like I'm living in a third world country for power availability. The power availability everywhere I travel is better than here. So in Honduras, the power availability is much more reliable in Honduras than it is when I'm in Mississippi. I just don't know how that's even possible, but for whatever reason, the power is constantly going in and out. And it's not just me, it's like the whole area around me is constantly losing power. So at some point I may buy that generator I've been talking about buying. I just don't want to separate. I don't want to pay the Bitcoin to buy it. And Bitcoin's the only form of currency I have to buy this generator. And, it's a shame to buy something with Bitcoin when it's going to go up in the future. But if it's the only currency you have, like me, at some point you got to decide you're sick of living in the dark. So anyway, I may finally pull the trigger on that. Who knows? We'll see. But now's a great time to buy Bitcoin. That has not changed. And anyway, buy as much as you can. Sit on it as long as conceivably possible. My advice has stayed the same year upon year upon year, and it's never been bad advice. Have a great evening, everyone. Thanks.